Hey guys, it's Kate 420. I hope y'all had a great 420. And I'm back with part two of the billionaire pedophile Jeff Epstein and how he may receive his justice after all. Sorry that this part two took much longer to get up than I had originally anticipated. Life happens. Anywho, and I did get a lot of you guys' comments on some things that you want me to look into, and I'm on it. I'm on it. And hopefully I can stay. Once I get this, I have two videos ready to go right now. I have more stuff ready to go and less time to record is my issue now. So, I'll figure it out. I got a couple of things ready to go after this is up, and hopefully I can at least get one more out tonight. So where we are is we briefly touched base on the flight logs at the end of the last video, and we're going to talk basically 12 months past that. So let's fast forward a little bit into the future. All right, March of 2011, two of Epstein's victims uh, file a motion in federal court saying their rights were violated by failing to notify them about the plea deal and in keeping it secret. Among other things, they wanted the plea deal invalidated in hopes of sending Epstein back to prison. They accused federal prosecutor of deceiving them with false notification letters. A decision was made in September of 2011. The U.S. District Judge Kenneth Mara rejected the U.S. Attorney's Office's argument that they were under no obligation to notify the victims prior to striking a non-prosecution agreement with Epstein because there were no federal charges filed against him. The decision marks a victory for Epstein victims, but the case will drag on 7 more years. In November of 2011, Epstein registered in New York as the highest, most dangerous level of sex offender, despite efforts by him and the New York District Attorney's Office to lower the classification. A level 3 status means high risk, repeat offender, and a threat to public safety exists according to the state's guidelines. And we all know Epstein owns property in New York, so that really ticked him off. However, let me just clue you in on the fact that his original plea non-prosecution plea agreement that he made, he held out to the bitter end. They literally changed the age of the victim, and I'm saying that with all honesty. If you read the paperwork, the victim was 14 and they changed her age to 16 and made her in 23 states that makes her or him not have to register as a sex offender because she's considered of a legal age of consent. So in 23 states, including the Virgin Islands, where his little island of horrors, is they call it Orgy Island, I call it Horror Island. But yeah, that's where it's pretty legal at 16 in over half of the United States and over all the and if you imagine all the countries he owns property in, and we've looked at his black book, we know where he's got girls at. So basically, all those places where he loves to vacay, he's not considered a sex offender. So anyway, spring of 2012, he started calling himself a philanthropist and a renowned educational investor. Epstein undertook a public relations campaign to counter the bad press about his sexual exploits. His foundation donated millions to scientific research and sponsors global conferences on ways to achieve world peace and save the planet. Spare me. He funds cancer and educational research projects around the country. So now we're getting close. January of 2015, Virginia Roberts filed court papers in Florida, claiming that she was forced by Epstein to have sex with Prince Andrew and lawyer Alan Dershowitz. when she was underage. Now that's the big part. When she was underage, okay, yes, Virginia Roberts, you're gonna find as much negative propaganda about her as they could possibly smear out there, but this woman is the reason the Epstein is exposed to the extent he is exposed right now because she refuses to give up. There she is with Prince Andrew. Yeah, but he never met her, and neither did Dershowitz. Anyhow, um, let's see, where was I at? Oh yeah. So in a sworn-in affidavit, she provides, get this, photos of her and the prince, which of course there's Virginia right there. I just showed you pictures of her and the prince, and the prince also with Epstein's close associate, British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell. She claims Maxwell worked as Epstein's madame, which she denies. Dershowitz and the prince deny her claims as well, setting off a series of legal actions between Dershowitz and Robert's attorneys that are all later resolved in out-of-court settlement. Which was a bunch of shit because excuse my language, all Dershowitz wanted to do was sue her lawyer for, defamation of character, yada, 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 and say he was basically, bringing this out to slander him. And my wife travels everywhere with me. The only place she didn't travel there, Alan, was that time you rode Lolita Express to the Virgin Island, little island St. James, oh, that's right, with Jeffrey Epstein and Virginia Roberts. Anywho, uh, in September, Roberts sues Maxwell in a federal court in New York, claiming Epstein's alleged madame defamed her in a public statement to the media. And now I thought I actually had that statement, but I don't. But the lawsuit is widely viewed as it's basically like a vessel for Epstein's victims to expose the scope of his crimes, because every time you have a lawsuit, you get discovery. So several civil lawsuits filed in the same year allege Epstein and Maxwell ran an international sex trafficking operation. There's the prince. June of 2016, a lawsuit filed in Manhattan by a woman who once used the name Katie Johnson, claiming she was raped by the presidential candidate Donald Trump at a party. Oh, now our president. This was at a party at Epstein's Manhattan mansion in 1994 when she was 13 years old. Both Trump and Epstein categorically deny this ever happened. Now, Johnson in November of the same year, backed out of the lawsuit. I backed out of a press conference and the lawsuit just days before the election, saying she was fearful and was threatened, but didn't specifically say by who. Trump nominated Alexandra Acosta for labor secretary back in February of 2017, and he is then compelled at his confirmation hearing to briefly address this. We talked about this in part one of the video. So let's bump it up. Virginia Roberts settled her lawsuit with Ghislaine Maxwell in June of 2017. We were kind of bummed about that. I sat on that watching for that lawsuit for a while, and we thought the rate, because they were picking jurors, and it's never gotten that far before, and it got right to the point where they were picking jurors, and Epstein Maxwell ended up settling. So they moved on, and civil trial was scheduled in the Palm Beach County Court December of 2018. Bradley Edward alleges that Epstein sued him to punish him for representing his victims. In December 4th, Epstein, the malicious prosecution lawsuit was scheduled for December 4th. Epstein has indicated he will not appear in court for trial. So, let's talk about where we are. Stop right there, and we're going to go check out some things really quick. Sorry, that's just the part that's for. Now let's talk about my opinion on some things. Here we go. I'm going to talk about two girls that we talked about in part one. that were pretty much in the first 53-page indictment. They were considered to be co-conspirators and could possibly be part of, any continuing litigations that were going to happen if the federal government moved on with the charges against Epstein. These were two of the girls that were going to also be charged. Um, this girl, hang on. This girl on the left was formerly known as Sarah Kellen. Girl on the right, formerly known as Nadia Marcinkova. Sarah Kellen had changed her name to Sarah Kensington, is now married to famous NASCAR driver. I can't really think of his name right now. Is it in here maybe? Here's also Nadia when she was much younger. Here's some of Epstein's younger friends. Marcinkova, and this is what I wanted to tell you about, is that these two, anyway, were part, if you remember, I told you in part one that all of Epstein's co-conspirators, basically anyone that ever came in contact with any of these underage girls, now have immunity based solely on that non-prosecution agreement that Alex Acosta drew up with Alan Dershowitz, and basically gave Epstein his walking papers. These two girls were girls that procured high school girls and other girls from the bad side of the tracks, girls who $200 seemed like a life-changing money at 14 and 15. They knew they had the eye for the girls, and they had the look that those girls wanted to have. And so, they were easily fooled, and these girls got rich from it. They not only got rich from it, but they apparently had no guilt about it, because when all was said and done, you think that yes, I may change my name and move to another country so that no one, can harass me about my past anymore, but I surely wouldn't want to associate with the same person, that I was indicated to have this sex scandal, trafficking, whatever you want to call international trafficking ring. Again, what I know, not after I just almost lost my freedom and have been completely humiliated in the media by this man. So, they were also questioned in the Prince Andrew lawsuit in 2010, and they appear to be now working for Epstein-linked companies. Two of Jeffrey's alleged accomplices are running businesses from Manhattan property linked to the wealthy sex offender under their new identities, years after appearing to have left his scandal-plagued entourage. Nope, didn't go anywhere. It's supposed to be Nadia Marcinkova and Sarah Kellen were questioned by lawyers whether Prince Andrew had any involvement with Epstein's abuse of underage girls. Of course he did. Let me show you something. First of all, very first picture. Boom, Prince Andrew. That is Prince Andrew. That is Virginia Roberts. And then there's Prince Andrew again, and there is Nadia Marcinkova. There's Nadia as well. So you tell me, do you really believe his denials, or do you think the possibility is there? Especially when there's a picture of him with her. He said he had never in his life met this child. Okay, back to my point. These two girls are now in completely separate jobs. One is working for this Avaloop, which is, I believe that's Nadia Marcinkova. So one's working for Avaloop, and Marcinkova, 29, now a pilot and the chief executive of Avaloop, a website selling discounted flying lessons. And Kellen, 34, states she's the owner of SLK Designs, a renovation firm. Both come back, it says both, according to public records, have operated from addresses in the East 66th Street, Manhattan, majority owned by Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein. A wealthy property magnate, two condominiums in the building sold last year for $2.5 and $1.85 million. Marcinkova's company is officially registered with New York authorities at that building. Import records show that Kellen's company also takes deliveries there. Jeff Epstein, a friend of Andrews, who was jailed in 2008 for soliciting prostitution from a minor, which is not, I don't understand how that is a law. I don't believe that's a law. You can't solicit prostitution from a minor because a minor can't consent to prostitution. It's rape. Rape. This is the elite's way of taking words and making them fit their own narrative. Remember Bill Clinton? Well, what's your definition of is? But that's the same thing. Same thing. You cannot solicit prostitution from a minor because that minor cannot legally give consent even if they do. The prince vehemently denies this allegation against him and is under intense pressure to fully account for his friendship with Epstein. My butt. Buckingham Palace got right up in on this, and basically he's never had to explain a thing for himself at all. This is Sarah Kensington now, not Sarah Kellen. She changed her name before ever getting married, mind you. Brian Vickers, there you go. See, they're not even married yet. So, Brian Vickers, NASCAR driver, Brian Vickers, he likes them kinky, apparently, kinky as in might bring a 14-year-old home as a birthday present someday. Sorry, Brian, but that's the truth. Kellen was accused by lawyers in legal filings of bringing girls to Epstein's mansion to be abused. Yeah, not mother material there, Mr. Vickers. Definitely don't want to leave her alone with the little ones. Anyway, on to the next thing I want to talk about. I didn't think I had another one of these. Hold on a second, guys. That was moving on. Okay. Yeah, no, I already did that. Because they refused to test. They did, by the way, refuse to testify. They took the fifth, I believe, in the the Prince Andrew trial. Wow, I just had a total brain loss for a second. There we go. Okay, now Dershowitz, that dirtbag. Epstein accuser sues Alan Dershowitz over alleged sex ring. We're getting closer to today, guys, because this literally was April 16th of this year. Okay, this is all what's going on now. Dershowitz is doing a PR campaign as we speak. He's been on Fox because Fox loves to throw him on all the time. And so he's been on Fox. He's been on, I think, a couple of the liberal channels, maybe CNN a few times. Either way, he's been spewing his spiel on all the channels. And I'm just disgusted because he knows that some time has passed now. So he's counting on many people forgetting a lot of the basics. So anyway, new accuser has come forward against. This is what y'all been waiting for. Well, probably not, because if you're smart, you just looked it up. A new accuser has come forward against Jeff Epstein, claiming the billionaire pedophile and his alleged madam, British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, sexually assaulted her and her underage sister on different occasions in the 1990s. The allegation surfaced Tuesday as part of a defamation suit. Virginia Roberts, again, and I can't ever say her new married last name, filed against Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz, a friend and attorney of Epstein who helped secure a controversial plea deal for Epstein after he was arrested in 2006 for molesting dozens of minor girls at his Palm Beach mansion. Maria Farmer, the alleged victim, also claims she witnessed Dershowitz visit Epstein's mansion and head upstairs where she says underage girls were present. Virginia Roberts has long claimed Epstein kept her as a sex slave and loaned her to his famous friends, including Prince Andrew. Both men having vehemently denied this claim, she filed the lawsuit against Dershowitz in New York, claiming high-profile defense lawyer was also a participant in sex trafficking. I never had any doubt. Dershowitz is one of my top, he sets my pedo radar right off. The minute them yellow teeth start smiling and all crooked, crossing each other, he's got this look to him. And you know what I mean if you're one of them people who can, and I'm not saying you can just look at someone and tell they're a pedophile, but you can sometimes. There's some people who are so who wear it so much, with so much confidence because they feel they're untouchable, that it almost becomes like a funny clown suit. The whole world can see it, but except for them, they can't. They have no idea what you're laughing at. But anywho, um, that lawsuit was just filed, and what's been going on? Hang on, here we go. Here's the new Epstein accuser too. Let me go to this part. This is from Zero Hedge. This is really I think this actually shows Maria Farmer and explains her story, because this lady went to the FBI years before that 14-year-old girl who went to the police in 2008 or whatever it was. Maria Farmer and her sister went to the FBI about Dershowitz and Epstein years ago in the 90s. This happened in the 90s, and guess what? She didn't. This was crushed, you guys. There was no help for these two. So anyway, let's talk about this one here. That's Ghislaine Maxwell, and there, of course, is Jeffrey Epstein. There's Dershowitz. Here we go. Let's go down here. Oh, yeah, you guys check out. This is like a 12-minute video. I put a little tiny bit of it in my part 1. Go check that out. That's on YouTube. It's who is Jeffrey Epstein, accused of molesting children, I think. Anyway, I don't want to go through all this because a lot of it is Dershowitz claims, because Virginia hasn't really been able to say a lot. It's her lawsuit. She's trying to save whatever for the courtroom, but Dershowitz is making all kinds of statements about how this case and this case and that case that they've already proved he's innocent, but no, that's not true. But anyway, it says he conflated the conversations. They are not in the order that happened. Who says he was assuring Dershowitz that if they had hypothetically found evidence that her recollections were mistaken, they would agree to issue a statement. By the way, ultimately, look, I want you guys to see it right here. This is the most important thing. Oh, hang on. I can't say her last name. It's like Jeffrey. Ultimately, Jeffrey passed a lie detector. That's Virginia Roberts. Passed a lie detector test. Dershowitz played and described excerpts from those tapes out of context to reporters to try to make it appear that Miss Roberts' hypothetical comments and characterizations of Dershowitz's assertions represented the lawyer's conclusions according to the lawsuit. Then there's the Miami Herald reporters here. I thought this one had a picture of Maria Farmer. There's the court paperwork right here. I've got it. It's like 30 pages long or something, but you guys can check it out if you want. That's on Zero Hedge. And here's the latest. We got 2 last pieces to this puzzle, and you're caught up to what's going on right now today. Now, this is Virgin Island Daily News, which is weird because I've never heard of that. But of course, we all know Jeffrey, his little temple and then the underground dungeons, all that's all on the island of St. James. Google that one time. Watch some videos on that. Maybe I'll make that a part 3 one day. Once they finally snag that non-prosecution agreement from him. Anyway, 2 mystery parties try to restrict the release of Epstein documents. Well, who the heck? There goes my monetization. No, I'm not monetized. Y'all know they'd never monetize me. I'd have to start all over again after that Kanika Jenkins stuff. They still want my butt. Anyway, 2 mysterious parties labeling themselves Jane and John Doe filed separate legal briefs to attempt to limit the public release of information that could connect them to underage sex trafficking operation allegedly run by New York financier Jeffrey Epstein and his partner Ghislaine Maxwell. Jane Doe, represented by Kerry Campbell, a Washington-based equality lawyer, appears to be a victim who wants to remain unidentified, but indicated she is amicable to the release of some information as long as it doesn't identify her. Court documents filed this week show. The other party, John Doe, submitted a brief. I wonder if this is. No, never mind. The other party, John Doe, submitted a brief in support of Maxwell, who continues to mount a last-ditch legal campaign to keep court records that allegedly contain details of their sex exploits involving young girls and the other third-party people who may be involved under seal. It's not clear whether the latest challenges will delay the release of documents, but and then it says, yeah, definitely check out Miami Herald, guys. They did a whole like a what do you call it? Like a series, yeah, like a series on Epstein called Perversion of Justice. Bomb, like lots of everything you could ever want to know about this case, more than what I even told you. But oh come on, now I gotta edit that out again. I don't even know if I can. Oh well. There we go. Ms. Maxwell is dodging a key point. The summary judgment findings focused on whether Ms. Maxwell was an essential co-conspirator in Epstein's international sex trafficking organization. It may be embarrassing for her, Ms. Maxwell, to have the world know the scope of her involvement in trafficking underage girls internationally for sexual purposes, but her involvement in a criminal enterprise does not remotely any legitimate ground for sealing. I thought that was perfect, like so well said. But the panel nevertheless gave the parties till March 19th to establish good cause. As far as I know, it's still going on. So anyway, Virginia lives in Australia now. She still asserts that she was directed to have sex with public figures, including Prince Andrew and lawyer Alan Dershowitz, both who have denied it. As you see, she came prepared. Like I said, Dershowitz filed his own appeal to unseal the documents in the Maxwell case. He believes the case history contains documents that will see when it suits him. He wants that stuff unsealed. And then Mike Cernovich, a big social media blocker, is trying to get stuff unsealed too. So because I think he really wants all of the co-conspirators named, all of them, all of the people, all of the rich friends that were on that airplane that were getting their part of Epstein's I don't even sick world, like they knew what they were going for. They knew why they were going on that plane. They knew what they were going to that island for. They knew what they were going to that house for. These people knew him, and they knew even when Donald Trump spoke about him, he's like, "Oh, Jeffrey Epstein's a great guy. He likes beautiful women like me, but he likes them young." Well, you can't, you can't look the other way and say things like he likes them young when 14 is not just young; it's illegal. It's abhorrent. It's disgusting. And if you aren't willing to call it out just because he's a billionaire, then basically your children can be bought. The way I look at it, there's a price. There's some price out there that there's some point that people stop, stop fighting and saying, okay, well, you're not just as disgusting if you touch a child and you're a nobody. You work at the grocery store, same thing if you touch a child and you are a billionaire hedge fund manager. There we go. So yeah, this is on recently. This just came out too. So it says we found billionaire Jeff Epstein's secret charity. So I guess some of the, like I said, little things are released here and there for Dershowitz. So basically, all of the real dirt that was in this whole Epstein charity thing had to do with the fact that like he donates to schools, all girls schools. He donates to like teenage tennis clubs, just like a lot of weird. He donate junior tennis champions, Harlem preschool, elite private girls school. Um, just kind of strange stuff. That's all. You know what I mean? Like it's Harvard, obviously. So anyway, be prepared, guys, because this case is between Virginia Roberts and Dershowitz is ongoing, and so is the case of them trying to basically reverse this non-prosecution agreement against Epstein. And right now, the Democrats are going hard looking for a message, and it would not surprise me if throwing Jeff Epstein under the bus so that they can be responsible for that takedown. I believe that will happen if they don't get, if the president's administration doesn't get on this. One or the other. One of them is going to take advantage of this right now. It's the time of the Me Too movement, and they know that politically this is a win for either one of them. So whoever steps in and um releases the documents in the Dershowitz and Roberts case, and B steps in and says, "Look, that non-prosecution agreement is null and void because the Crime Victim Rights Act says that the victims had a right to be notified and a right to appear in the scheduled court date, yada yada." And so it's clearly in the paperwork that they weren't notified. But all right, so that'll be all that, and I hope everybody enjoyed. I'm gonna get my next video up, and I'll talk to you all soon.